What's up, everybody? Are you seeing me? Here. Let's see. All right. What's up, everybody? A special power shift your power talks. Excuse me. Let me pin this or whatever you're supposed to do here. All right. Where did I put it? Right there. Pin. All right. So this is a special power talks, and I'm going to have on here Alfred, Edmund Jr., who I had on here before, and due to whether his poor connection or my poor connection, we weren't able to finish the conversation, which was absolutely amazing. I want to get into that. I also have on here Milk Money Kitchens, who won the Bob Evans Farms Heroes and CEOs contest, and I think that we can learn from them. So if we have poor connections, please excuse that. Now, I want to make a couple of small little announcements and adjustments and tell you how you can learn from what I'm doing as well. So we looked at the data. We realized that more of my supporters and viewers are available at 12 o'clock instead of 1, because even though you're working virtually, you probably take lunch at 12. So we're going to move our Power Talks and Power Shift Your Week to 12 o'clock. And because I wasn't able to do it a little bit earlier this week, this is why I'm doing this one today. So how can you learn from that? Well, look at the data after you're talking or doing your posts and see where your people can, get a hold of you and where the traffic is most, and adjust it. And we learned at 12 or 3:30. And by the way, that's just a fire I have going in the back. Don't think that my place is literally on fire. So you can learn from that. Earlier this week, I did just a Power Shift Your Week, and I had an interview with a young lady, Curlinistas, and it was so absolutely amazing. And now you can see how sharks invest in things. Not saying I'm investing in this young lady's company, but it was brilliant because she's a curly-haired little girl of color, and just the night before, my daughter was saying to my wife and I, "Mommy, I want my hair straight like yours." Even though her sister's hairs are curly. And then the next night she's like, "I want it curly," and then she's like, "I want to be this way or that way." And self-confidence is something that kids need, no matter what color, size, age, or gender they have. They always want to be something else. And listen, you know what? Adults always want to be somebody else or something else. And my daughter also one night would say, "Mommy, I want my skin white like yours." And the next night, "Mommy, Daddy, I want my skin dark like yours." So I found an amazing interview that I happened to have by mistake. And I posted it, and as well as I took that little piece and showed it to my wife and showed it to my daughter. So I learn as we're going through these, and it's just like my books. I learn and I share with you, and hopefully we can all learn from that. And I know there's been a lot of talk. Somebody said, Reese said she loves being mixed. Absolutely. You're a little bit of everybody. Most of us, almost all of us, are mixed in some sense, unless, most of us are mixed in some sense, right? And if you're not mixed biracial or racially, you're mixed hopefully in your mind, because you have a lot of different thoughts from a lot of different cultures, because you've been educating yourself. Now, I know the hot topic in the world in this country certainly has been guns, and I don't want to play a political role right now, but I have one gun that we can all agree upon. And by the way, I don't own any of this company or have any investment in. I don't even know the owners, but it's called, and most of the dudes are like this, the assault rifle. Wait, the bug assault rifle. Check this thing out right here. This thing is amazing. You load it up with salt. You crank this bad boy, and it shoots out a bunch of salt, and you can kill any bug. And while I'm out here in the country, I'm like the Terminator. Ladies, come on, listen. Guys got nothing better to do. I mean, this is the things we do, See? That spider's dead. That spider will not be biting me and my family. Anyway, go check that out. Now, let me see who I'm going to bring on first. I'm going to bring on Alfred, because many of you probably did not, or some of you did not catch the last conversation that him and I had. I happen to know his background very well, but I'm going to read it off, and we're going to go and start digging into things. All right. So Alfred, his background is successpert. Focus on the habits and behaviors that produce 4 things: financial, fitness, physical fitness, mental fitness, and relationship fitness. All right, now, why is he an expert in that? Okay, I'll tell you why exactly. I'm glad you asked. Teaches people how to stop doing unhealthy, self-sabotaging things for love, and how to adopt a result-driven framework for a healthy, smart relationship and make smart relationship decisions. Uses those methods within his financial and business journalism. Works at Black Enterprise, work as a radio show host, and grow zone relationship education business. Award-winning natural bodybuilding competitor, over 50 years of age. 50 years of age, a natural bodybuilding competitor. Host, co-authored the best-selling relationship book, Loving in the Grown Zone, with his wife. Damn, don't we need that information right now while we're all fighting with our significant other. Hosted Money Matters and nationally syndicated radio segment on American Urban Radio Networks. Currently a high sought-after public speaker, which we sometimes have the honor of representing him, and is a senior vice president and executive editor at large at Black Enterprise, where he recently launched his new series, Beyond the Hype. I'm going to get right into it with Mr. Alfred Edmonds. There he goes. Mr. What's up? Ooh, look at that. Look at that FB hat. You know what I mean? Fire!
So, you know how we living. You know how we living.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
God is good, brother. God is good. So I'm going to jump right into this with you, man, because you and I talked.
Well, before we start, real quick. My first medal is a 60-year-old natural bodybuilder.
Damn, you still busting it down.
Still doing it, bro.
So I'm not ignoring that thing, because I'm gonna get right into it for two different topics. You and I talked previously. I talked to a lot of people about business, and we had talked about how you as an entrepreneur work within your system, and you moved up and you stayed at certain positions, and you brought so much value to the company. So, you know, if anybody has not caught that in the past, maybe we'll talk about it again. But I think there's two things that are extremely needed for us to hear right now. I want to talk about the best-selling book you had with your wife, talking about it's love in the, sorry.
Here it is. Loving in the Grown Zone.
Loving in the Grown Zone. All right. Every one of us right now are either, put it up again. Put it up again. Loving in the Grown Zone. How long you been with your wife, Mr.?
We've been together for about 10 years, but married for going on 4.
Okay. Right now, I believe we're going to see a lot of babies being born, and we're going to see a lot of divorces as well. You know, we're seeing it all over the place because, you know, people are home. They are combating with each other. I think this is going to highlight what you have. Do you have love? Do you have compassion? Do you have understanding? Or do you have a big misunderstanding and something that is based off of money or opulence or ego or whatever the case is? And I think this is going to shatter and or make a lot of lives. What are the tips right now, man?
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, and let me lead off by saying our book is not a how to get married, how to stay married book. The Grown Zone is, we always say we're neither pro-marriage or anti-marriage. What we are is advocates of the healthy relationship foundations that are necessary for marriage or relationship to work. So it's a healthy relationship book, not a marriage book. And what you pointed out is absolutely the case. That people are now discovering was the foundation that they built their marriage or the relationship on, healthy or unhealthy, because it's now is under the kind of stresses, financial stress, health stress, the news of the day stress. The foundation is now under stress, and people are finding out whether their relationship was healthy from the start or not. So we tell people marriage is the house, but the underlying relationship is the foundation. And what we specialize in is helping people to recognize and lay a healthy foundation, and hopefully to do that before you commit, to a marriage. And I'm someone who's been twice divorced. Zara Green, my life partner and who co-wrote the book with me, has also been twice divorced before we married. So we know what it means to build a marriage on an unhealthy foundation.
Right.
When the foundation is crap, I mean, there's a difference between leaving a house because you want to move to a different house versus the house actually collapsing on you. And what we want to do is help people avoid living in a house that can collapse, because the foundation was unhealthy in the first place.
Well, so if you're happily married right now and you're happy and you're getting to enjoy life with your significant other, or even, you know, not even married, in a relationship right now, you know, please put in a clap, put in whatever you want to do. But, you know, all right, so Al, we kind of glossed over it, right? I want to dig deep, and I want people to walk away with maybe some little tips when they can help, because what I've been seeing a lot of times, listen, taking nothing away from, there's a lot of single dads, and there's a lot of dads who raise kids from the home and things of that nature, and the wife goes out and works, and they have that understanding, and that's great, right? You know, I think some of the biggest challenges, I think one of the hardest jobs in the world, to be a stay-at-home parent, whatever you are, father or a mother. But what I'm seeing with a lot of friends, colleagues, and even strangers are, the man was the breadwinner. He was going out, or he was, you know, even artists. I'm seeing a lot of artists who are no longer on tours. They can't come home and say, yo, shut up, I'm buying a Rolls, and I got this and got that. And the wife still is doing her damn job, right? And now she got another baby at home, the father. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, right? And they like, you know, what's up, man? You was talking all that crap before, but, you know, the ends have shorted. You know what I'm saying? And now you still trying to walk around like that. Now, and that can be the reverse side too. You see what I'm saying? But we know most likely 90% of it is usually a female going and sometimes working and doing that at the house.
Right.
Right. How do they? What are some healthy tips right now? Because I'm gonna give you my healthy tip. I happen to be fortunate enough to obviously have a couple of places to go and whatever the case is. But when my wife and I were literally right there next to each other all day for the first 2 months, you know, listen, we had our little tussles, you know, and once every 2 weeks or something. And even after the tussle, we found a way to bring it to the table and discuss it. And I realized how much more I love her and how grateful I am. And now, though, I learned to adjust it by leaving the house most of the day if I can. Like if I was going to work, even if I'm in the yard. Right. Letting her do her, I do me. You know what I mean? Then coming home instead of trying to just force it. You know, I'm gonna be in that room and you stay in that room, or vice versa. Right. So that's how I've learned to work that out. And I still take her out on dates when I can. Of course, open area, you know, right. Place. And I make a date, and she makes a date for me. And I've learned that, man, I love her so much more. You know, this is what I thought it would be, right? But what can other people do at this moment? And I still got a lot more to learn, you know?
Well, first of all, you just said it. You never stop growing as a human being, and she's never going to stop growing as a human being. So there's always going to be more to learn. No matter how good it was, there will always be more to learn because things are going to change. You're going to change. She's going to change. You're going to still be the same people, but you're going to grow. And you need to recognize that. You got to give your partner the right to grow. One of the things that we say to each other when we think we love them is either never change, that you can never change, or you must change. And neither of those things are formula for healthy relationships. You got to allow the person to be. The second thing you said was you got to have space. Yes, you're partners. Yes, you're together. But that doesn't mean you don't need time away from each other so you can appreciate coming together. And in this quarantine, shelter at home, COVID environment, that can be difficult. If you have space, then physical space, then it can work. But sometimes it might mean you're right. Somebody might need to leave the house and go for a walk, go for a bike ride, and come back to give the other person room and space so you don't get on each other's nerves. But the seminal question that we ask people to ask themselves whenever the relationship is being tested is, does the pressure cause you to turn to each other or on each other? If it constantly causes you to turn against each other and on each other, no matter what the outside circumstance is, then you have an unhealthy relationship. All unhealthy relationships must end. Now, does that mean you got to break up or get a divorce? Not necessarily, but you have to renegotiate the relationship on new terms. For example, if you're used to having your spouse be away from the house, 10 hours a day because they work, and now because of the COVID, crisis, they're home all day, you may have to sit down and say, okay, how are we going to negotiate the terms of our relationship in such a way that it remains healthy going forward, as opposed to one of us deciding I can't take it anymore and I'm out. So again, if it's unhealthy, it must end, but you have to decide the terms, and both people have to be down.
I think Joey said something really great here. So you need to fight together, not fight each other.
Yeah, and if you consistently are fighting each other, then there's a deeper foundational issue with the health of the relationship. Because if you're in a healthy relationship, adversity causes you guys to draw together as a team, and you look at the adversity as the problem. The minute you start looking at the other person as the problem, then you have an unhealthy relationship and something needs to be done.
So as Joe said, we need to fight together. So, and then somebody else said, what if you're not sexually compatible? So let me ask you something. So I go home and I'm just like, I had a hard day, and I've gotten off the phone with 10 Kevin O'Leary type of conversations. I'm really pissed off. She's had a hard day because the baby's doing whatever the case is, and or she had other stuff going on, and I come in because I'm working all day, and I be like, yo, I get off the phone, I'm stressed. I don't need to come home to this. Like, why am I coming home to this? This is supposed to be home, a good place for me. So how do we fight together? And she go, or how do I and her go, you know what, let me understand, let me have empathy. I'm the big old guy here, always talking about having empathy for your customer, but having empathy for your significant other. How do I say, you know what, before I tell you what happened to me, or before I say, leave me alone, I don't want to argue, what happened to you? Like, how do I say, well, let's fight together to solve each other, to be the joy in each other's day? How do we get that conversation going? Is the challenge, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you can come home and just come out of your face sideways and not realize that it's only because of the shit you've been through during the earlier part of the day, and you don't mean to take it out on this person, but this person is just a 10th person that irritates you at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like it's easy, but think about this. One of the and we identify characteristics of a healthy relationship. One of those characteristics is safety. In your relationship and your home, that you live in, it's supposed to be your safe haven. It's supposed to be the place that you can come home and take off your armor. She can take off her armor. And so the first thing you got to be able to do is feel safe at home. And a lot of people are finding out during COVID, some of us are safe at home and some of us are stuck at home. And if you're constantly thinking yourself being stuck at home, then again, you got to examine the foundation of the relationship. But if you're safe at home, you come home from your day of dealing with Kevin O'Leary and his drama, and you say, I'm going to come home, but I know that I can take off my armor because she's going to listen. And by your same token, you got to say, I'm going to listen to you. If you have two people who are willing to listen and say, listen, I'm going to sit down and we're going to just listen to each other. What that does is creates a sense of safety, and that sense of safety is necessary for the other positive aspects of the relationship to happen, including sexual intimacy, but just knowing that when I come home, this is the space where I can be safe. But you got to have enough space in your own head to say, I know I'm upset, but I got to listen to her. And she has to feel like I had a rough day, but I'm going to listen to him because this is my teammate, my partner.
All right. So listen, obviously people can follow you and find out more information about that aspect of life. And again, there are so many other, I come at it from a layman's point of view. There are so many other relationship experts that I'm sure you can suggest and talk to. So let's get into the bodybuilding part. Natural bodybuilder at award-winning at 50 and now award-winning at 60. How, I keep trying to work out. Every time I buy a bunch of different weights and all that kind of stuff, and I'm trying to eat healthy as well. But, the body just, when you turn 50, things start to swell on you. You never realize you actually had in your body. You know what I mean? So what are the keys for people right now? Natural. That's the key point. What are the simple tips right now? I know we hear it from everybody else, and so what can you say to people right now who just want to live a little bit of a healthier life and little small things to do? Because they say that six packs are made in the kitchen, right? And right now my kitchen, I try not to have the Cheetos in there and the Tito's in there, but it just be calling me, Al. It be calling me, man. They be calling me. So like, what do you tell people, man?
Listen, first of all, let me tell people, because if you go to my Instagram right now, you'll see I just posted pictures of my last competition, and I have to explain to people the way I look to compete is not necessarily the way you're necessarily going to look based on just having a healthy diet. I mean, I do, as training to be an athlete is different from just training to be fit. So I always tell people, don't look at these Instagram pictures, especially women. They see these Instagram models and think, oh, how am I going to get like that? I mean, they have to do some things to get like that, and you may not want to do that. So, don't get caught up in the highlight reel of Instagram or social media. and then start body shaming yourself because you don't look like that. Let me say that first up. But the rest of it, I tell my friends and people who ask me some basic things you should do. First of all, if you know you love Cheetos, don't bring Cheetos into the house. Like, my weakness is sweet snacks. I love Oreos. There's these little chocolate covered shortbread cookies called Little Schoolboys. You can buy them. I know not to bring them into the house. I'll eat them, but if I'm out someplace, I might buy some and eat them. But I never bring that stuff into the house, because if it's in the house, you're going to eat it.
I know, but see, you know what? Listen, Al, man, listen. Truth be told, it's easy for me to say, "Yo, man, stop touching, stop going after the little schoolboys," just because it's called little schoolboys. But anything with Cheetos, Oreos, Tostitos, Doritos.
Don't bring them into the house, bro. That's what I'm saying. Have it when you can, small, but never bring it to the house. But here's the biggest. If I had to give one single piece of advice to people, don't drink your sugar. Meaning, I don't touch soda. I drink fruit juice maybe once a week, small glass. Most of the sugar we take in, we drink. Good point. That creates all kinds of inflammation issues. It makes it harder to lose weight. It just creates problems for your body to function properly. But we live in a society where sugar is in everything. But the fastest way to get sugar into your body is to mainline it by drinking it.
Good way to think about it. Don't drink your sugar.
Don't drink your sugar. I drink tea, coffee, black, no sugar. I may have a ginger beer, but it's pure ginger beer, because ginger is really good for you. And I drink water. There's really nothing you can do to improve on water.
You know what else I've learned also recently? I learned about calorie density. I learned that, I never realized this. So you can eat grapes, a bunch of grapes like this. The calorie density is low. So a bunch of grapes like this, the calories are 75 or 100. It fills your stomach up. But if you just ate raisins, about this much raisins, it would have more calories, and you'd still be hungrier. You'd still be hungry, and you wouldn't be filled. So obviously, watermelon has low calorie density. It fills you up. Obviously, that's why I didn't realize that salads, if you think about it, you go to McDonald's and get a salad, or you get a quarter pounder with cheese. The quarter pounder with cheese won't necessarily fill you all the way up. You still get the fries and everything else, but the salad, which lower calorie density, will fill you up because the amount is taking up in your stomach.
That's why salads and I wasn't a salad eater even as recently as 4 or 5 years ago. That was my bodybuilding influence, and Zara, because Zara is big into salads. Now I eat 2 salads a day. I eat vegetables with every meal because it is filling. You're right. It's less calories, but it's a lot more filling. And your point about grapes versus raisins, I mean, think of how small a raisin is once you get down to it. You can eat handfuls of those versus a grape, which is more filling.
But I would have naturally said, well, they're raisins. I'm healthy, nuts, of course, which are all good. But I would, the difference in salted nuts, and just regular nuts, and these simple things, even though you hear them over the years, when you start getting in that habit, it really cuts down a lot of things. It's amazing.
If you go shopping at a grocery store and you stay out of the middle aisles and you shop around the outside, you're going to get mostly vegetables, fruit, and unprocessed foods. One of my friends just said, I don't eat anything that comes in a box because if it's in a box, it's processed. I eat almost no processed food. It's all. So
try not. That's another key. So you say, all right, listen, if this doesn't work for you, that doesn't work for you. You know what? Maybe try not to eat anything that comes in a box. It's funny. You go into the aisles where the stuff with the boxes, it breaks down all the ingredients, calories. You go into the vegetable aisle, there's just one sticker on it, apple. There's no breaking down all the stuff. It is because it is what it is. There's nothing there, right?
Yeah. So I tell you, don't drink your sugar. Stay away from processed foods, and if it's in a box, it's been processed probably. There's some exceptions to the rule: pasta, rice, but for the most part, and I lean heavily into lean fish. I eat white fish, farm raised white fish or salmon, grilled chicken. But after that, it's all veggies. Now, I love pancakes. I love burgers. I mean, I love that food too. I just don't eat it as part of my daily diet. That's something, if I go out, I'll have a steak. If I go out, and I don't mean McDonald's burgers. If I'm going to have a burger, I'm going to go to like a gourmet hookup, bison burger joint where it's really, not just your run-of-the-mill fast food burger, because I'm going to treat myself to high quality. I love sweets. You sound like you're a salty snack guy. I love sweets. So I'm not going to go get your run-of-the-mill brownie. I'm going to go to some place that specializes in the best brownies ever, because if I'm going to enjoy that, I'm going to enjoy it. But those are treats. And that's the biggest change in our diet. What we used to treat as treats and desserts has now become part of our daily meals, and that's why obesity and other health issues are so.
Somebody here from Toomey B. Cole said you should stay away from farm-raised fish. Now, that's always the debate, and I want to just ask you a question. I'm not sure if you have the answer. So my wife and I, she pescatarian, but and I'm a big fisherman, but if you eat the large fish out there, generally the large fish that are ocean caught, I mean, they may be eating a lot of stuff that is going to create mercury, right? The farm raised fish on the other side, people may say, well, they're putting certain kind of growth hormones and various other things to grow the fish faster. So which one is the right answer, or is there a right answer?
No, there is a right answer. I need to apologize and self-correct myself. I said farm raised. What I meant to say was wild caught.
Okay.
I eat wild caught fish. And again, these things are now available in your average grocery store now. It's not like you got to go to some specialty place anymore. So no, the listener who called me on that, you're right. It's not farm raised. You want wild caught. I eat wild caught salmon, wild caught. Right now I'm doing whitefish right now, wild caught whitefish, because I'm training for competitions. It's just leaner fish. But it's
so whitefish, so yeah, because the bigger fish you catch, I mean, the bigger fish you eat, the tunas and the salmon, and especially swordfish, those could have a high mercury content.
Oh yeah. So you want wild caught. You want wild. It's healthier in general. It's leaner in general, and I mean, and you got to think about, if you're eating these things over time. Again, the less processed and the more pure you can get it, the better. And other thing, you said something about nutritional labels. Recognize that most of the labeling on boxes and cans are marketing language. The only thing that matters is the actual nutritional label that says fat, sugar, sodium, all that other stuff that says natural and all natural and organic and blah, 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 blah. That's marketing language. Plant-based is now marketing language. They're going to put whatever they can on that box and make you think, oh, this is good for me. The only thing that matters is what that little nutritional label that says, here's how much fat is in it, sugar, here are the ingredients that are in it, and that's what you should pay attention to.
Yeah, somebody asked how bad is mercury. Mercury is extremely bad, because obviously it can affect your brain and various other things. So I got one,
especially over time. It's eating it over time. One serving, a couple servings is going to hurt you, but if you're eating it year after year after year, it's not good.
Right. I got one last question for you, and then I'm going to bounce, because you and I probably going to need to do one of these every month and a half and go to something else, from business to this and that, because there's so much here knowledge that you have. How much water are you really supposed to drink a day? And I guess maybe it's women and men have different, or is it per body weight? I keep hearing 102 ounces or X amount of ounces. What do you think is proper? And the reason why I ask this is that there are two different theories. You drink a lot of water, you flush out a lot of things, it gives you more energy, and whatever the case is. But the other theory is that if you drink a lot of water and you're not sipping and you're just trying to knock the bottle down, it expands your stomach. And if it expands your stomach, you want more in your stomach once the water is flushed out of your body. And somebody will say, well, that's bullshit. But look at the flip side. When you get the stomach stapling and it shrinks your stomach, you usually see people who obviously lose a lot of weight. Those people are usually extremely obese. Do you have an answer for it? I know there's no right answer. You're not a scientist, but what do you think?
No, but I do have a particular philosophy and a strategy. First of all, while people will try to drink like a gallon at a time, I think that's hard. It's just hard to do. Taking that much water at one time, your body can't process it that quickly. And you're just going to, like you said, it'll just expand and then just leave your body right away. My strategy is I have 8 glasses a day, 8 ounces. I have one right when I wake up. I have one with every meal. I have one right before I go to bed. I eat 4 solid food meals a day. Drink at least 2 glasses while I'm working out. Usually people drink more when they're working out. And that gets it in. And you never have too much, but you're already hydrated throughout the day. That's how I do it.
Okay.
But it helps if you don't drink anything else. See, I don't drink any other than 1 or 2 cups of coffee a day. I don't drink anything but water.
Well,
so a lot of times people have a hard time getting the water in because they're drinking soda and other things, and that takes up your hydration space.
But another philosophy, and obviously you know better than me because you're the one in shape and I'm not, is that you should not drink too much water when you eat, because your eyes supposedly measure the food that's about to go into your system, and it creates a certain amount of acid to absorb it. And if you drink the water, you're diluting the acids because your eyes have already just weighed the food to create the acid in the stomach. Is that true or not? What do you think about that?
Man, I had never heard that one before, but it could be true. But my thing is...
Well, my man Pookie told me that, and that means it's right.
Well, that's my thing. If you spread it out over the day, 8 ounces when you first wake up. I have a glass of water on my nightstand right before I go to bed. I just leave it there. Wake up in the morning, drink it. Go brush my teeth and do what I got to do. Breakfast, 8 ounces. Lunch, 8 ounces. Another meal, 8 ounces. I mean, if you spread it out throughout the day, you won't feel like you got to run to the bathroom every 10 minutes. But you'll know you got your 64 ounces a day in, and your body will work perfectly fine.
All right. Well, everybody remember that. Check out my man, Alfred Edmund. Remember, he said he puts the bottle of water by his bed, and you drink it in the morning, right?
Yep.
Okay, because if you put it, because a lot of my followers, they may be a little bit older. If you put it by the bed at nighttime and drink it during the night, you will lose weight because you'll go to the bathroom several times, and sooner or later in the dark, you will fall over, bust your chin open. You'll be in the hospital. You'll be only sucking your meals through a straw. It's like me. You're gonna go to the bathroom 10 times, and then you'll lose weight.
Here's the other thing about spreading it out throughout the day. If you don't drink it all at one time and you just drink it throughout the day, you will not have to run to the bathroom 15 times at night. Just spread it out.
Because if I drink it at night, man, I'm going to the bathroom 6 or 7 times while I'm sleeping. I'm definitely going to trip over the cat or the baby. Something's going to happen.
You'll work it out. You'll work it out.
All right, man. Listen, man. Stay safe, man. Thank you for everything. And we'll be chopping it up again. All right, brother. Listen, don't wait for me to bring him back on. You got to follow him, man. He is brilliant, and he comes to you with real life experience, and really brilliant person. So let me tell you who I'm going to bring on next. And this woman, I have been working with her and talking to her because she won the Bob Evans Farms Heroes and CEOs contest, and absolutely brilliant. And a lot of you are going to be able to learn from her. Her name is Nancy Preston, and here's her background. She was born in South Korea and adopted, then immigrated to the United States with her new family to live in New York City. Her mother worked many kitchen jobs all over town, selling kimchi and fried dumplings. I love fried dumplings. In church parking lots, trying to make ends meet. This taught Nancy the power that can come from cooking and food entrepreneurship, which inspired her company, Milk Money Kitchens. Nancy served as a U.S. Army engineer and then pivoted to found and become CEO of Milk Money Kitchens, Inc., a co-work commercial kitchen company where food entrepreneurs can rent a kitchen and launch or scale a business with less risk and more opportunities to succeed. Damn, we need her right now. Milk Money Kitchen is an impact entrepreneurship in Manhattan. Oh, sorry, let me go back over that again. My eyes are getting bad. Milk Money Kitchen is an impact entrepreneurship in Manhattan. That's a typo. That creates small food business owners and develops them into food CEOs. Let me bring on Nancy. Where are we at? Well, Nancy. Waiting on Nancy. Waiting on Nancy. Here we go. I think I got to do it again. Let me try it again. Where'd she go? All right. Waiting on Nancy. So while we are waiting on Nancy, I want you to remember this. She came over here. She was adopted. But she was welcomed to this great country, and guess what she did? She's trying to help entrepreneurs now, but more importantly than that, She's a veteran. And she helped to protect the freedom that we have. That's why we have to let everybody over here to this great country. Because unless you're Native American, none of us are from here. We were either captured and brought over here, or we came on our will. Hey, Nance, what's happening?
I made it.
You did. You did. So first of all, thank you for your service. Every time I see you, I would love to tell you that. You know?
I appreciate it.
I have the ability to sit here and talk crap because of the freedom that you and so many of our great men and women have provided for us. So thank you. All right. So let's talk about Milk Money Kitchen. You know, I shared with people generally what it is, but, you know, I'm reading and, you know, plus me being dyslexic, I half-ass read it. Tell me about Milk Money Kitchen, what you're doing, how many people you got over there, and how somebody right now can utilize you or do it in their own version, in their own world. But tell me about it right now.
Yeah. So it was supposed to be a space kind of like a WeWork space where you can come in, rent a kitchen, and build a business. We want to change the food industry from a play-to-play system to a pay-as-you-go, so that food entrepreneurs can grow into the business instead of being boxed out because of a lack of money. So, but before COVID, we couldn't open the kitchens yet. But we recently opened a new facility, which is a pop-up space. We took over a distressed restaurant that now we converted into a pop-up space and market for local makers. So here is a launch pad sort of where we can bring on our local New York City makers, bring New Yorkers the cool and unique and eats that we love, and bring it right here in the East Village. So this is where we're starting. And we've been kicking off for the last 8 weeks during COVID, and it's been amazing. We relaunched 9 businesses that were closed for COVID, and many of them were permanently shuttered, not intending to reopen. And we have 2 brand new launches. Actually, one from a very nice and motivated Black entrepreneur, so we're really excited about him. He's a CIA trained chef, and so we're just really pleased to have this wealth of hustle and people who are willing to take this risk to make their lives better through food.
Great. And I'm just going to get right into the question. And a lot of people can obviously check you out, and thank you for Bob Evans Farms, Heroes and CEOs, for allowing us to get together. But what do you see? I mean, you're in New York City. It obviously was the first place to get devastated by COVID. What are you seeing is how restaurants are pivoting? What are you seeing is the challenge they're having? I mean, we know the challenge. Screw the challenge. What are the challenges with them staying afloat? And what are some great ideas you've seen have been working?
From like a big picture perspective, because New Yorkers, because most people, especially in New York, we live hundreds of miles, about 100 miles away from our food sources. It is a very complicated system to get every borough and every neighborhood the basics that they need to stay. Doing 3 meals a day, you know, in New York City is really hard. And so that supply chain is broken. This is what we see. We have people and suppliers, vendors, we have farmers who have not been able to maintain operations during this time. And so as restaurants and other food establishments and other food makers in New York City are trying to relaunch and trying to see new opportunities or seize new opportunities, these are the biggest challenges because they can't get the same access to their vendors as they once did. They can't get access to the same ingredients or even the employees that they once did. When we got to the government came in full force. A good unemployment system is that now when restaurants are trying to reopen, we have to convince people to come and not take unemployment and instead work for us. So those are some of the challenges we're seeing. And it's not something that's going to be fixed for a while, but we're not in the same situation we were when we hit the financial crisis in 2009. We still have a very strong economy. We have people we have industries that are still in position to work. And so for my strategy during COVID and even right before the onset and right before the city shut down was we pivoted to just a strategy that is survive now to thrive later. because we know the recovery is going to come. We just don't know when, and so we plan for a year. So the idea was just to survive. We're not going to get rich right now. We may not even break even, but just keep our supply chains open. And that's what was really successful for us, was when we were running Food for Impact, which was part of our social impact mission with 2 of our other food entrepreneur partners, that helped us keep our supply chain going. So even though we weren't making enough revenue to break even, the longer impact and the greater impact was keeping our supply chain going, our vendors, our packagers, our farmers, and keeping our people employed. That's what was the biggest value, because it allowed us to seize more opportunities later as more people came online.
Now, well, a couple of people said I'm frozen. Can you see me?
I'm sorry?
A couple of people said I was frozen. Can you see me and hear me?
I can see you and hear you, but you are frozen.
I am. Wow, that sucks, man. That technology sucks. All right, tell me when you can see me and you can hear my question. Or you can hear my question, right?
I can hear you. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to just do this without you having me able to see me. So, but the other, you're saying the supply chain is broken. What about, forget the supply chain, what about, listen, I've had my shop, I got my PPP, I ran through it. I don't have outside seating. New York is slowly opening. How do people get people? How are they getting the business? What are you seeing? Anything happening?
Delivery. However, of course, it's not as lucrative as once we might have thought it would have been for restaurants and other food establishments. It's very lucrative for the delivery apps, but not so much for the establishments. And so people are starting to get creative. We are building into the streets, and there are amazing street cafes all over New York City. Come to the East Village and check them out. It's really quite a thing to see people really hustle. And they're not, what I see with small businesses is not something that I see with big business necessarily, because that's just not my world. But I see the small businesses really pulling together, trying to keep their staff employed, trying to keep their vendors paid. They have taken loans, and many of them have not gotten PPP. I only know, out of my 60 members, my food business members, and all my other food business associates, only 2 people have been approved for PPP, and only 1 entity, only 1 small food business has received any funds from our networks. And so it's been really surprising to us, but not surprising in a way that we're not going to expect the government to fix our problems. So we expect business to fix our problems, and that's why we've all come together trying to fix each other's problems and help each other grow. So to answer your question in a shorter way, is they're doing anything they can, but it's not to be able to necessarily pay the rent. It's not necessarily to be able to really hit home runs. It's just to survive. They want to pay their people and keep their supply chains going. And I think that is a good strategy for now.
Something I saw earlier, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he happens to own a candy store in New York City, but they were selling coffee as well out of the candy store, the traditional candy, regular candy, and they were deemed an essential business because they were selling coffee and things of that nature. So what he did was he used to have 2 little tables in the candy store. He then got the street permit and he opened up 7 tables, but because he doesn't have all the other items in there, he worked with a bakery that was closed, and he worked also with an ice cream shop who now sell all those things to him, provided to him, to now expand, his business. And now he went from being a candy person to now candies and cakes and cookies and ice cream. And he said he's doing 2 to 3 times more business than he ever did. So is that what some people should do? Should they say, listen, I'm already serving steak, but I don't have all these other options, and all these other people potentially close. Let me grow my dessert side of the menu, or grow this side to just keep more people coming in. I mean, are those good things to do?
That's exactly right. If the strategy is to survive now to thrive later, then you sell anything. During COVID, we were selling meals. We were giving away meals for free and selling them at cost or just below cost to hospitals and anyone who actually raised funds that could afford it. But if they couldn't afford it, we gave it for free. And in that, we are also selling and providing face masks that were made by other veteran entrepreneurs that pivoted their company from a nonprofit backpack company to a mask manufacturing company. And another one of our colleagues that had an air vodka company in Brooklyn, they're making vodka out of air. The same process they applied to making alcohol-based hand sanitizers out of the same process. I mean, if you want to survive and thrive, then we've got to figure out ways to take what we know and just sell it. Figure out ways to sell it. And yeah, I think that guy's brilliant. Expand. You're not a cookie maker, because when you have a brick and mortar in New York City, you're everything. You're the garbage man, you're the sweeper and the janitor. You're also baking the cookies. You're also at the POS. You're everything. So what the people that have been successful during this time have been people that have seen themselves as not one thing, but the bigger thing of, you know, I've got to survive now. So whatever I know how to do, I'm going to just employ that and see what works.
So here's a tough question. I have a restaurant and it was doing well. And you know what? I may have to close it down. I don't know if I can last, 6 more months, a year. What do you say to that person? Do you say, try to hold on? Do you say, you know what, close it down now so you can save some of your cash and do something else virtually or whatever the case is, and then reopen in the new economy, because you may reopen smaller or online, or like, what do you do? Because entrepreneurs sometimes are too hopeful, and then the business is just not there anymore, and they went ahead and they used all their profits, they mortgaged their home, and it just not happen. Like, how does a restaurant person take inventory and say it's going to happen or it isn't? At what time do you throw in the towel to maybe come back and fight better another day?
We've been answering this question all year, and it's a complicated question, but we start with, you got to know your numbers. Jelena is she's a CEO of the laundress, and she's also my CFO. She said, you've got to know your numbers. If you're going to make any strategic decision, whether it's a food business or not, you've got to know what your run rates are, how much cash you have on hand. Cash is king, no matter what your product is. Cash is king. If you don't have cash enough to see your way through this, then maybe it is one of those really tough decisions that a lot of my food entrepreneurs had to make too. Is like, you know what, I'm gonna reserve not just funds, because at this point they didn't have a lot of funds to reserve. It was their mental health. Let me reserve my mental health and let me close down now, and then reconfigure and restructure my business for a later time. I think that's a smart move. People know themselves. People that have been in the restaurant business or the food industry, especially in New York City, for a while, they have struggled throughout. Even when you're doing well, you're still struggling. And I know Danny Myers and big restaurant groups had to close down many of their restaurants. These are huge decisions for them. They are very emotional decisions, because they have livelihoods that they were providing for. And so they did not enter, none of the big entrepreneurs and none of the small entrepreneurs entered into that decision to close down or to reduce their footprint lightly. It's been a very hard decision for everyone. But you've got to know your numbers. If it'll help you survive now to close down, to be able to thrive later, then that is my advice. You look at your numbers and see what you can do. But it's a really hard time right now. And
it's very hard.
I don't fault anyone for changing their mind.
No, you got to get small. Sometimes if you have to, and it's hard having to having to let go, a staff of 2, 5, or 10, then look at your community and feel like you failed, or look at your family and feel like you failed. However, the other flip side of it is, if you employ a staff of 2, 5, and 10, you don't want to let them go, but you're going to have to let them go in a month and a half instead of right now. Well, then, the inevitable is inevitable. Prepare them and talk to them so that they can prepare themselves and be big boys and girls and realize what they got to do. If you're thinking about the ego, here's the best part about right now. Everybody's going through it. Ain't nobody going to ever blame you for closing down due to COVID. If it's your ego, I hope you're not in business due to your ego. But also, be able to pay your bills at home, because, the number one reason for divorces and separations are financial stress. And you don't want to have financial stress here at the business, financial stress at the home, and not be able to take care of the things you need to do. So I closed Fubu three times. Closed it down 3 times from 89 to 92. They were very tough decisions, but I had to do it. But I ran out of capital. But it gave me the power to come back and fight another day. And here we are. So I think those are all great points. You know, where can we find you? Milk Money Kitchens. And then where else can we find you to hopefully get other advice? Or maybe people right now want to, you know, be part of your kitchen in a very small way. So they can start off and save 70 or 80% of the startup costs to know if they have an idea, right?
Yep. So that's what we want. We want people to, if they're thinking about a food business or restructuring the food business, we want them to try to get small. We want them to be flexible because unfortunately, when you have real estate and big teams, you're not as flexible. And so you can find us in the East Village, 50th Avenue A. You can find us on Instagram, Milk Money Kitchens. And you can find us on Twitter at Milk Money Kitchens and Milk Money NYC. But you know what? Email me. It's nancy@milkmoneykitchens.com. Kitchens with an S.com. Email me and talk to me. If your business is struggling, if you're in operation and you're struggling, you get priority. That's why we've had a hard time onboarding new customers, because people that are in the fight now, trying to change their strategy from survive now to thrive later, we've been trying to prioritize them. So, but be patient with me. We will get to you. If you're struggling now and you're in operation, we will prioritize you.
Excellent. Thank you for, you know, during this time, that's what true entrepreneurs do. They don't think about themselves. They go out to help others. Thank you for giving everybody your email and allowing them to call you and tell them how you're going to prioritize if they're in that area. So thank you so much again for your service. Thank you for to our country. Thank you for your service to entrepreneurs. And thank you for Bob Evans for connecting us with the Heroes and CEOs contest.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.